Hey guys, I watched There Will Be Blood for the first time this year. It's my first ever Paul Thomas Anderson film. And guys, when I try and look up some of the best films of all time or films that other film directors look up to, There Will Be Blood always comes up on the list. So when I found out it was one of my friend's favorite films, I just had to make the time to watch it. And man, I'm glad that I did. Like the story was pretty insane. I would say in there was some of the greatest scenes I've probably ever seen. One of those we're gonna break down today. And yeah, it was just crazy. First ever film from Paul Thomas Anderson. I've been meaning to watch his work for a long time. He just seems to, yeah. We can talk another time about why I'm intrigued by his work. Maybe if I review his film Phantom Thread, which is the second film from his I've ever seen. But guys, I would say this film redefined how I see cinematic shots and how simplicity in your shots can really get the distractions out of the way and draw attention to what is going on in the story. It really redefined things for me. It was insane. I would say that this film doesn't represent Christianity well, but you could argue it's not meant to. It's one of the main characters runs a cult, not really a church. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of cults do claim that they speak for Jesus, but like they don't. And the film is dark. Like if you're not into dark films, don't watch it. Um, if you're not into character-based films, don't watch it as well. It is dark. Like the name promises, there will be blood. Like there is blood, but the film is also verbally violent as well. Like this character is savage, and he verbally takes down these characters as well. I found it verbally more violent than physically violent, but obviously at certain points it gets extremely violent. Do you know what I mean? I was expecting like Tarantino levels of blood, but there wasn't. But it was still hard hitting. Anyway, I'm not really here to talk about the story, more the cinematography and the shots. And what's insane, this film came out 2007 and still feels amazing. Still completely timeless. There's a certain shot here, by the way, guys. I'm getting into deep spoilers. Like I will spoil the film, as in it's not light spoilers. It's heavy spoilers. Like if you haven't seen this film, please please like don't watch this video. I'm gonna heavily spoil stuff. Yeah, please, please do yourself a favor. Do you know what I mean? So there's a scene where okay, let me actually make that full screen. There's a scene where he's talking to a character. I'm trying not to spoil it, but it will spoil it. I'm gonna have to spoil it, guys. He's talking to a character, yeah, and he asks the character a question, like I guess an inside joke, and he completely doesn't understand. Like the character completely doesn't get it. Do you know what I mean? Like he's waiting for a reaction, he doesn't get it, and he's like, this character's like, yeah, I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm out here in the sun, it's hot. This is why it is hot, and I'm tired, and he completely doesn't understand what he's talking about, and he's just there trying to rest. I think that's why it's really effective. Why they didn't diffuse the light too much. They just let the light be bright. You know, if I was shooting this, I'd be like, oh man, am I clipping on his nose or whatever? But honestly, it doesn't really matter because the story needed it. We needed to see the light being bright for it to make sense for him to rest the way he is. Because when it's that hot, sometimes you just want to just relax. So essentially, he doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. He's like, yeah, cool, whatever. Yeah, cool, of course, mate, nice one. And he's like, wait, what? You didn't understand what I said? And then this shot here, I'm gonna have to move. I'm gonna have to move myself. Like, I might just remove my camera. Like, guys, this shot had me so engaged because this character, he's established to be a somewhat a somewhat scary guy, like unhinged guy. Like, you never know what this guy's gonna do. Like, he's gonna snap. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, my friend was saying, it's a horror film, but a horror film about human nature, or human corruption more specifically. And it's like, man, to me, there's so much going on in this shot. It was insane. Like, it was insane. I'm trying not to spoil it, but I kind of have to spoil it. So it's so deep because he comes to a deep realization that essentially he's been betrayed and he's been lied to. And it just holds on this shot. It doesn't cut to a wide. It just holds, and we study his body language. And because Daniel Day Lewis is an insane actor, a really good actor, it works so well. And you just look at the guy, and he's like, "You don't get it. You don't understand. If you lie to me, it's insane." To me, this was cinematic. This was cinema. I felt so much when I saw this shot. But when you look at the shot, you might be like, Joel, that's a simple shot. It's just a close up. But the story behind it was so crazy. If you've seen the film, you'll know what I mean. You'll know. If you haven't seen it, you might be like, okay, Joel, you're overreacting. But guys, I'm not overreacting. And here, there's a little, I guess, visual language going on here. Like, he's in the light and he's in the darkness. Do you know what I mean? Kind of representing he's illuminated, as in he sees the truth, but he's the character in the dark is still living in darkness. Do you know what I mean? And then there's a yeah, and he's complete. He doesn't have a clue what's going on. It's insane. I don't know. I think they definitely blocked it so he was like in the shade. They did that on purpose because most of the scene is like there's not really a massive wide establishing. So they might have done that to hide whatever they used to put this guy in shadows to block the sunlight. But this shot here is crazy as well. As a little bonus, this shot here is crazy because this guy is so angry. Yeah, he's so angry. It's like he's so angry. He's so angry, and his anger is represented by the water. And hold up, guys. His anger is represented by the water, and the water overcomes the screen. It engulfs the screen in the same way his rage is about to engulf, I mean, the character. It's crazy. But for me, it's still that close up. This close up here where there's that shadow on his eyes that kind of, I don't know how to say it, Godfather type shadow, kind of showing the subtle rage that's there. You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's so good, man. It's like shooting at the right time of day to get those shadows. It just said so much. There's another scene as well, which is a huge spoiler. I tried not to spoil the other scene, but for this one, I'm gonna have to just spoil it, guys. Like, on it, but if I like, guys, I watch a lot of films. This is one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen. This is ridiculous. And people talk about plot twist. This was a twist, man. I'm just gonna have to spoil the whole thing. But essentially, right, his son is deaf, right? Spoiler. And basically, this character, he runs an oil business, and his son comes up to him and is like, "Hey, man, I've got married, and now I want to do my own oil business." And he's triggered, and he's like, "Bro, like, are you serious? You're not my son anymore. You're a competitor." And now he goes even, which is savage. It's like, can you not be happy for your son that he wants to like leave the house? Are you not happy for him? And he says this: "You're an orphan." Like, dude, you're an orphan. You're not even my son. You're an orphan. And he's like, "Are you serious? Wait. He's like, "Are you serious?" And what's crazy about this scene? Because when I was watching this film, his son goes deaf, and I'm like, guys, why was this in the script? I get it, it's tragic, but why was this in the script? Because I'm like, it didn't really add much to the story, but but in this part, it all made sense. So basically, there's this character here, and there's an interpreter in between them, and the son is like over here. So when he's saying all these crazy harsh stuff to him, like, "You're not even my son, you're an orphan. Like, I found you in the desert and I picked you up because I needed someone cute to help me sell oil. You're an orphan." It's crazy because he's not even looking his dad in the eyes. He's looking at somebody else in the eye when he says this stuff. Like, he hears the most devastating stuff you could hear from a parent. "You're not even my son. I'm not happy for you. You're my competition, you know, whatever." Because he's deaf, he can't even look his dad in the eye. He has to look at somebody else. So the whole time he's just looking away. But at a certain point, he has to look at his dad because it's like, are you really saying that? Are you really saying that? It's crazy. I even think the character asks him, "Hey man, look at me. Even though you're deaf, look at me." As I'm saying this devastating stuff to you, it just adds so many layers, and it makes the payoff emotionally of him, Paul deciding to make the character deaf hit so hard. It's ridiculous. It's such a crazy payoff. So this shot here, this close up here has so much story behind it. He's deaf. He's been like he's been deceived for years, thinking that this guy's his dad is not his dad. He can't even fully understand what he's saying. He can't because he's deaf as well. So he kind of has to look at his interpreter, but he can't because he's deaf. But at the same time, he's like looking this guy in the eyes, like, "Are you serious right now?" I was like, this shot is ridiculous. And on paper, you might be like, "Joel, that's a simple shot." I do think it's beautifully lit. I love dark cinematography. So anyway, I was always bound to love this shot anyway. But just the angle of him looking away, it just, oh, dude, I felt so much with that one shot. It was ridiculous, man. And then at the end, the son walks away, and he starts yelling stuff like, "You were never my son. I found you out of a basket. You're a piece of trash." And it's like, I think it like, story wise, there was so many layers because I don't think this character means it. I think he was only saying that because he was hurt, because he wanted his son to be there for him for his business rather than letting him start his own business. I think he was actually lying. And because like the son is deaf, he can't even hear half of the stuff he was yelling. By the time he leaves the room, I was like, this is one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen, and that close up of the son just made it so sick. I was like, this is probably the reason why this shot is cinematic is because of the depth of story behind it.